Everybody ready? Notice is hereby given that the Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Islip will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 6, 2026, on the following applications at the times listed or as soon thereafter as they may be reached. At such time, all interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. And when you hear your name, please come up to the podium and give us your name and address. Application number 1-26, Michael and Julianne Savarese, to renew permit for two-family, family use only. Residence AA District, north side of Percy Williams Drive, 268.56 feet west of Suffolk Lane, East Islip.
Hi, good evening. Julianne and Michael Savarese, 15 Percy Williams Drive, East Islip, New York, 11730. And we're here to renew our permit for two-family, family use only.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board?
No questions.
No questions, planning, any comments? No comments. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in this application? I'll take a motion, please.
Motion.
To,
For a period of 3 years?
3 years.
All in favor? Aye. You've been
Thank
granted
you.
for 3 years. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
bye-bye. Application number 2-26, George Ponick and Miguel Viscard Ponick. Permission to leave driveway having side yard of 1.35 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence B District, south side of East Walnut Street, 175 feet west of Nickel Avenue, Central Islip.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'm George Ponick, 56 East Walnut Street, Central Islip.
Good evening, Miguel Ponick.
Same address?
Yeah. Miguel Ponick, 56 Walnut Street.
Thank you. And you're here on the side yard to the driveway?
Yes, we are.
Okay, you can adjust the microphone. Any questions from the board?
No
No planning, any comments?
No comment.
Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard in this matter? I'll take a motion, please. Can you get a second? All in favor? Aye. Application is granted. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Application number 3-26, Meredith Mayorino, permission to use dwelling for two-family, family use only pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-419.1. Residence A District, southwest corner of Pomoqua Lane and Wagstaff Lane, West Islip.
Hi, good evening. My name is Meredith Mayorino. I'm trying to apply for a permit to use my home as a second family for my mom, family only.
Okay, any questions from the board? No planning, any comments?
No comment.
Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard in this matter? I'll take a motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to grant the application for a period of 3 years. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted for 3 years.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too.
Application number 4-26, Jason DeLuca and Janet DeLuca, permission to leave pool patio having side yard of 3.2 feet and rear yard of 4.3 feet instead of required 6 feet each, and shed having 14 feet behind the front line of the dwelling instead of required 20 feet. Residence B District, north side of Sears Road, 1,145 feet east of Alice Road, West Islip.
Hello, Jason and Janet DeLuca, 181 Sears Road, West Islip, New York, 11795.
And you're here on the pool patio in the shed?
That's correct.
And the rear yard for the pool patio is on there. Okay, any questions from the board?
No questions.
Planning, any comments?
No comment.
Is there anyone else that'd like to be heard in this matter? All right, I'll take a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to grant the application.
All in favor? Aye. Application is granted.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your night.
Jordan, can you pass it to Nick and say it doesn't look like it's 503 either? Application number 720-25, Danielle Jose Baquet. Permission to use dwelling for two-family, family use only pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-419.1. Is there anybody here in that application?
Second call.
That feels like a deja vu. Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah. Application number 6-26, 15-19, Main Street LLC. Permission to construct roofline alteration resulting in front yard setback of 0.7 feet instead of minimum required setback of 1 foot. Business District, north side of Main Street, 60.91 feet west of Railroad Avenue, Sayville.
Good evening to the board. My name is Joseph Clemens, partner within the firm German and Clemens Architecture, PC, located at 3275 Veterans Memorial Highway, Suite B11, Ronkonkoma, New York, 11779. I did prepare a speech, but in any event...
Can I just ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You're looking at 3/10 of a foot. That's like 4 inches.
Give or take. I mean, realistically speaking, what had occurred was there was a fire to the property. We were trying to replace it.
You can only talk yourself into trouble.
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead.
Any other questions from the board?
No question.
No. Planning, any comments? No comment. Is there anyone else that'd like to be heard in this matter? No? Okay, I'll take a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the application.
No, it's forever. It's this one.
All in favor?
You did that.
Aye. Application is granted.
Thank you, guys. Have a happy new year. Thank you.
Two.
Forever and ever. It was this one we skipped because this guy didn't show. Oh, on Sayville? Did you ask? Did somebody want to be heard on the Sayville application?
No, it's already approved.
Oh. Oh, okay.
It's already approved. Next.
Funny man.
Yeah, great, because that's what I need. I need jokes. Application number 7-26, Denise Brazoban, permission to leave shed having side yard of 3 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence A District, north side of Riddle Street, 294 feet west of Grand Boulevard, Brentwood.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Okay. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services, with offices at 231 Islip Avenue, Islip, New York.
Planning, do you have any comments?
No comment.
Is there anyone else that'd like to be heard in this matter? I'll take a motion, please. Give me a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Application is granted.
Wrong one.
Happy New Year.
No, I was. That's why I took Dan's application. I was on the wrong one.
Application number 8-26, Roddy Cunha Duruiz and Betsabi Cunha. Permission to leave shed having side yard of 1.6 feet instead of required 2 feet, and driveway having side yard of 1.6 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence A District, north side of Comac Road, 110 feet southwest of Montauk Road, Brentwood.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting Services, with offices at 231 Islip Avenue, Islip, New York.
Continuing admonition.
I'm not saying
Planning,
any-
any comments on this?
No comment.
Is there anyone else that'd like to be heard in this matter? I'll take a motion, please. I'll make a motion to grant the application. I get a second. All in favor?
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Happy New Year.
App-
I'm an aye.
Application number 9-26, Christina and Roberto Nicolia Jr., permission to erect second-story addition, 43.1 by 55, leaving floor area ratio of 29.5% instead of permitted 25%, and to leave shed having side yard of 1.8 feet instead of required 2 feet. Residence A District, east side of Wampum Lane, 365 feet south of Willets Lane, West Islip.
Let the record reflect that I'm recusing myself from consideration of this application.
Okay. Shall reflect, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roberto Nicolia Jr. I live at 140, Nicolia, please. I live at 141 Wampum Lane in West Islip. Yes. Yes. I couldn't hear that. I dress to impress, sir.
No, no comments.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
William Doel and Anne Marie Imarada Doel. Permission to erect second-story addition, leaving floor area ratio of 28.32% instead of permitted 25%. Residence B District, southwest corner of Danbury Street and Saxon Avenue, Bay Shore.
Just before you go on, just let you know, the board has had extensive time to review this application, and probably the less said by you, the better. It seems appropriate to grant this, but just to let you know.
Brevity is brilliance in this situation.
Oh, my God.
I don't think I could follow that up any better.
Would you like to make your appearance, please?
Yes.
Joseph Walker, Double Check Builders, 270 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York, 11779. I'm done.
Thank you. Planning, any comments?
No comment.
Is there anyone else that'd like to be heard in this matter? All right, I'll take a motion, please.
Motion to grant the application as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application is granted.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Application number 11-26, Luis Morocho and Lena Madrid. Permission to leave masonry wall 2 to 3 foot in height on side property line, not having required setback of 4 feet. Is anybody here on the application of Luis and Lena Madrid?
Another second call.
Gone, gone, gone.
People don't Application number 12-26, Carlos Taveras, permission to leave addition 4.2 by 8.3, having rear yard of 20.4 feet instead of required 25 feet, sheds having side yard of 0.1 feet and 1.2 feet instead of required 4 feet each, and not having 20 feet behind the front line of the dwelling, roof over having side yard of 10.3 feet instead of required 14 feet, roofed over front porch having side yard of 13.7 feet instead of required 14 feet, leaving second front door in violation of Section 68-32C, definitions of family, driveway on side property line, not having required setback of 4 feet, leaving front yard occupancy of 94% instead of permitted 40%, and 4-foot fence in driveway site distance triangle exceeding permitted height of 3 feet. Residence B District, west side of Fifth Avenue, 233.26 feet south of Howells Road, Bay Shore.
I apologize for that mouthful. So good evening, everybody. Carlos Tavares, 200 Fifth Avenue, Bay Shore, New York, 11706. I've been in the house for a little over 16, 17 years. It was named by my customers, my neighbors, like a zombie house. Very, very ugly. I got married 6 years ago. Redid the house, did new siding, added some of what you guys called additions or stuff like that. I have pictures to prove, like the side. Well, what everybody calls an addition, let's say that. So I took a few pictures. Some of the stuff what I did, like on the side of the house, there was a step and an exit door. Never moved anything extra. I just put a little tarp over the top. I have pictures of that. They say it was too close, but I didn't add anything to it. The front of the house does have a portico. I did create that. I live in front of the Bay Shore Fire Department. And if you guys ever stay there or pass by, that horn blares all day long. One of my sons is an engineer. He said, hey, if you put a tarp or portico in the front, it's going to bounce back some of the sound. So we're able to live in peace since we've been there that long. A few of the other things I don't understand, like about the fence and stuff like that, I'm willing to talk to you guys and understand. Okay. Okay. No, it shouldn't be 3 front doors. Oh, you saw? Where did you get those pictures? That's the ones I brought. Yeah, it's just one door. It's a French door. So what was there was a garage door. So we work from home, all of us, and instead of having a garage door into that office, we changed the garage door to a. Okay. What is the 94% of what? I didn't understand. I got it. That's the answer that I wanted to find out. So let me explain to you. So if you could bring up my picture, Fifth Avenue is a highway. Before you guys put lights on there, it was a 8-way intersection. There was accidents twice a night, every night. My kids, my wife, whoever, all of us live there. I have no front, nothing. It's you either come out of there head first or you're dying. When that light hits from Howells heading south, everybody hits 100 miles per hour. I stand there and I look. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, but what I did was I created that driveway so I could spin around in there. I never come out in reverse. I do understand it's big. I can cut it down if you think so, and I will. It's no problem. But that's the way it looks, exactly like that, and it's so everybody can drive out safely, and that's why we haven't had an accident since. Fifth Avenue is a pure highway. Southern State, 495, whatever you want to call it. It's incredible.
In terms of a number that is close to that, obviously, no. It's very far beyond what would normally be considered. I will agree with him on one point there. Fifth Avenue is a very busy road. I think it would be correct for us to take into consideration giving them a greater overage than would normally be considered due to how busy this road is. That number is nowhere close to 94%, but.
I'm asking now Vice Chair Mr. McCabe, he's on the leading authority. Leading authority. Leading authority. Yes. The other two guys. Going to write a treaty this year.
terms of the number, can't tell if you're serious. I think 60 would be fair. Taking into
60
consideration
from
that it's
94,
Fifth
whatever.
Avenue.
I'll do the measurements. I'll speak to somebody. Okay. No, it already is. So we're next to the fence. All of that's. No. What I'm saying is it's already rotting up. I haven't changed it since it's been 17 years. So I could cut it out.
Sort of. With accessory apartments, within the accessory apartment ordinance, it's actually prohibited to have a second front door. The prohibition that's in this application is not actually a prohibition. After further review, we've recently noticed that it exists in the definition of family as a rebuttable presumption. It says that it shall be assumed that a single-family home is not being used as a single-family home if any of the following exists. And one of them, it says, is 2 meters, I can't think of what else, but 2 front doors, is the assumption that the building department can make in the issuance of a building permit that it's not being used as a single-family home. So I think the last time we discussed this, we said that what we probably need to do is just question the applicants at the time of the hearing about how the house is being used. Is it being used as a single-family home? You did mention that you all work from home.
I have pictures of us working. The desk and everything. My wife works for Ramsey Realty.
Mm-hmm.
My son's an engineer for Square Nine. I work for Xerox. I am the regional director of Xerox for Solutions in AI for all of Suffolk and Nassau County. So we're just home every day, and what we do is we have desks there, which we share, and women, my wife is like, I don't want people up and down through the house, so we'll come in through the house, but if we exit through the front, whatever it is. It's easier. You come to visit, hey, how you doing? I'm sitting in my office working. People come in through there. And that room has the bathroom, has everything. It was already converted when I bought the house. So that's why we picked it. It has a bathroom. It's away from everybody else. And we just work. Yes, it is. We have a whole family. That's the problem with the schnauzers. Everybody that I know has more than 2 and more.
No, I mean, I think the 2 things that are noteworthy here are the things that we're currently talking about. So 60% I think is reasonable, and the matter of the second front door is kind of a matter of how one would look at that, whether or not it is being used for more than just single-family purposes.
I'll give you one more picture just to show you about the front door. Yes. Just to. Yeah. What happened? I don't know. Somebody just came to my house and they put a thing during COVID. I went to court and they were like, hey, did you do any of this? You should have been a lawyer. You got it adjourned for 6 years. Yeah. And that's what it was. Since then but more stuff came up. It was about when I did the siding, the portico. And they were like, oh, what about the driveway? What about this? And I was like, this was already there. No, it's still in court. Because the original violation can be cleared on everything else pops up. So that's why I saw all of this. I was like, what is all of this? The patio, the driveway, whatever it is, all of that stuff. And like I said, I just did it for safety, all of it.
All right. Motion to deny that portion of the application for the front yard occupancy of 94% instead of permitted 40%, and instead to grant 60%.
Oh, you could just deny that.
What's the site
To deny the portion of the application having to do with the 4-foot fence in the driveway site triangle. Can't do anything about that.
That's what I'm trying to understand also. Which one's the fence? The front fence?
Well, we'll get to that after.
Okay.
Yeah.
After this motion, we're on the round. And then to grant the balance of the application.
Second. All in favor? Aye. So on the site triangle, do you want to?
Yeah, so you can see it right here. Your fence is too close to the driveway, and when it's higher than 3 feet, it can obscure people's view, especially with something like Fifth Avenue. We don't want people to be pulling out and maybe, for instance, like a lower profile car might be obscured by the fence and people won't see somebody pulling in or out of the driveway.
I
So it's
understand. You're
considered a
talking about-
safety issue.
But you're talking about my house, people coming out?
He picked tonight.
Coming in or out, yes. The fence
Yes,
right here
good
on
idea.
either side of the driveway, it's a bit too tall, too close to the driveway, yes.
I did that on purpose. I knew it was 3. Let me spin the camera around to how we come in. Spin the camera to the middle thing.
Well, if you knew it was 3, why did you build it higher?
Because I don't want people to trust the fence. I need them to walk out into that driveway and look out. Before that, I didn't have a fence.
But
they,
That's an interesting risk management.
but what's this? If you spin it around, even my, can you spin the camera around? Is that Google
I
Maps?
can, but I don't think this is a winning argument.
I got you. Spin it out.
It's like I made sure
Look,
the
look what's in
stairway
front of my
was
house.
safe, so people would try.
It's an island, so we
I
have to
think the
come
question is,
almost.
how much do you have to remove? We're not gonna allow you to keep it.
I can drop it.
Our hands are
What, a
tied.
foot?
Our hands are tied. We already voted to deny it.
Done.
We
Don't
got
worry about it.
Safety issues. We want to make you
Yeah.
happy, but.
I got it. So all that, they have to come and cut a foot off and drop it.
How much?
It's 4
You
feet.
could either remove a foot off the top of the fence, or you could just remove the section that's too close to the driveway. The specific dimensions of that, I'm not sure. The building department could help you with that.
Which one's the one that's too close to the driveway? That's what I'm saying.
Really, either side of it.
If I
It's-
do one side is okay?
No.
Both sides? 1
Correct.
foot off the top, bring it back down.
That is one way to resolve it.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
Okay.
So you bring the height down to 3 feet?
Yeah, no problem.
All right,
Yes,
so
that's-
that's-
it's divided
So you set then, we denied that, and we denied.
Perfect. You guys have been
94%,
great, trust me.
Granted the balance.
We could have allowed the south.
Understand.
Thank you.
Got it. We're done?
Yeah.
We're done.
Guys, have a great night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna call the 2 from 6 o'clock that didn't appear to be here. Doesn't look hopeful. Has anybody arrived on the application of Danielle Jose Baquet, 720-25? Or has anybody arrived on the application of Luis Morocho and Lena Madrid, 11-26?
6:30 calendar.
Okay. Application number 13-26, Raymond and Patricia Scott. An interpretation is requested to determine if proposed partial garage conversion, 4 foot by 10.7 foot, is consistent with Town Code Section 68-503A, and permission to leave driveway having width of 21.9 feet instead of required 18 feet. Residential redevelopment district, west side of Peters Boulevard, 62 feet south of Kelly Avenue, Central Islip. No rep.
Sure, Raymond and Patricia Scott, 59 Peters Boulevard, Central Islip, New York, 11722.
Good evening.
Yeah, so 68-503A. It's a 503A. That's. Do we want to do that first before I? Okay. I think it's something accessory apartments, but. Yeah. Okay, so the residential redevelopment district is a very unique residential area in the town. There's a lot of, I'll say, micromanaging in terms of the design. The purpose of having it so that there was a prohibition on garage conversions was to have adequate off-street parking. This area had an issue with that in the past. So the question here becomes, this is a partial garage conversion. Is a prohibition on it if the intent is that they can have the off-street parking, if they can still fit a car in the garage after a partial garage conversion, arguably that still meets the intent of the ordinance. So it would really matter, can they still fit the one car in there, even if they took a small section of it to expand out? I would assume maybe like a kitchen or making a pantry or something.
Correct.
So, I'm sorry, they have to be able to fit a car in.
Effectively, yes, that was the intent. We didn't want them to do these conversions because then that makes it so that there's less off-street parking.
Okay, but what does the town, and again, it's not a judgment call, I'm trying to understand. What does the town care when you put your car in the garage?
Because there's only so much space in the driveways usually as well in this area. So it's not specifically that it's the garage, it's that you're supposed to be able to fit 1 or 2 cars in the driveway and one in the garage to have the adequate off-street parking. It's in addition to the driveway.
This doesn't exist in other single-family residential.
That's because of the on-street parking problem.
Right, this is the Carlton Park, which became College Woods
Oh,
Development
yeah.
30 years ago. It's fairly dense, and there's even some townhouses nestled into certain little spots in the RRD. So there is a concern, there was a concern in 1992 when it was adopted that each home was counted as having 2 parking spaces, which is required for a single-family home, with one of them being in a garage.
But I'm trying to understand, if somebody has room for 1 car, but their garage looked like McCabe's, and it's just full of junk, and you can't put a car in it, how does the town monitor that?
Mostly
They
we
mo-
don't.
They monitored it with the 2010 edition code amendment,
Says,
which isn't very well written, in my opinion, trying to prohibit further conversions of people's garages. This is 18 years after the RRD was adopted.
But then it's encouraging everything.
yeah, it's not, you don't know, no ownership on this, Nick,
So
right?
the photos showed it. Yep.
I know it's statute.
I can speak to what the intent was. As I was saying, the intent was that they could fit a car into the, so if, for instance, very commonly, the garage conversion would be converting it to living space. That's what you would normally qualify as a garage conversion from a building
So
permit
if the
standpoint.
garage could accommodate 3 cars, does that then,
Well, in this case, it only really needs to accommodate 1, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that we have a prohibition on garage conversion. I think the intent was that if somebody took that entire space, made it living space, you can no longer fit a car in there.
Right.
What they have done is a partial garage conversion on the back of it.
They want to do it.
Technically, it counts as a garage conversion, but if they can still fit a car in there, I would argue that it still meets the spirit and intent of the ordinance.
The survey shows a garage basically 24 feet deep.
Which,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're looking to clap off 4 feet, so they
Nope.
still have 20?
So I was kind of
That's
hoping your
correct.
architect would be here, but could you tell the board briefly about the fire and what your plans are for reconstruction?
Sure. So we had the fire February 21st last year. In part of the reconstruction, we want to claim 4 of the 24 feet of our driveway to, of our garage, which had a refrigerator and a pantry. We just had to go outside into the cold and the heat. We just want to turn that into internal space. So at 24 feet long, that is a garage and a half, essentially. Standard garage size is 18 to 19 feet. We're only looking for 4 feet, so we'll still have a 20-foot garage.
so you want to use 4 of 24?
Correct.
So theoretically, you could fit a car.
100%.
We definitely can, yes.
All right. Thank you.
100%.
That's what I thought,
Plot plan, we don't need an existing conditions survey.
right? So they're still gonna have a 20-foot deep garage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they're still going to have a 20-foot deep garage.
Right.
It's, the only zoning felt uncomfortable with allowing this minute conversion of it because of the way the code is written.
That's fair. So we have
That's
to
all
make
they're
an
taking of the back of the
interpretation.
garage, that's the only thing.
You need to make an interpretation,
Oh,
or can't we just grant the variance?
It's not really an area variance, it's a prohibition.
So we're saying, we're gonna say it doesn't violate the
So
code.
what percent?
Correct.
For it's, what, 4
It's one-
goes
it's 1 of
into
6.
28, it's 1/6.
1/6. No, it's 24, so.
So less than, if we say 25%, they're at 24%.
I think all we say is this doesn't violate the code, it can fit a car in it.
Planning's
We're not making
argument is,
an
yeah, that it's not really,
determination.
the way it's written, it is in conflict maybe with it, but the way it's written is very restrictive, and they have not, in essence, violated the spirit and intent of the ordinance.
Yeah, I don't even think it's enforceable. How do you enforce
Doesn't
it?
matter.
And you have to have a blue car. What color is your car?
Mr. Wexler sells blue cars.
Don't answer.
They're both gray, sorry.
And I don't have a garage.
But we can paint them.
Paint the garage. Okay, we're good. Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else who'd like to be heard in this matter?
Thank you.
Thanks. Happy New Year.
Oh,
Okay.
I was ready. Thank you. Good job.
Application number 14-26, 9 Third Ave LLC, permission to install additional facial sign having area of 15 square feet where only one facial sign is permitted. Business District, east side of Third Avenue, 227.01 feet north of Main Street, Bay Shore.
Got 5 members of the board, and then the people that matter.
Yeah.
Huh? Pretty good.
Hello, I'm Daria Lamb. My husband and I own the building at 9 Third Avenue. We are in the process of building permits to convert it, to use it as a minor restaurant. And we've gotten through most of the process. Yes. Exactly. The first sign is the awning, and the second sign is, yes. And I got to pay a fee for a variance and meet your variance staff. Okay.
Yeah, it's just to reiterate that they're only really here because the pie sign here, being of a different material than the canvas sign, counts separately, even though it's basically conveying the same message in the same area. Maybe. Needless to say, planning has no issue with this.
Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard in this matter?
Thank you.
In the decision that we consider it all one sign?
Yes, that the, I think
Yes.
that, yes, that the board would view these two facials as conveying the same message, so therefore one sign.
One pie sign.
All right.
Application number 15-26, Christine Voracek and Eric Reichert Voracek. Permission to erect one-story addition, 15 by 34, leaving side yard of 14.39 feet instead of required 18 feet. Residence AA District, west side of Lincoln Avenue, 200 feet north of 7th Street, Bohemia.
Christine Fay, Accurate Expediting. You want my address? 286A Belmont Avenue, West Babylon, New York. Yes.
No?
Thank you. Happy New Year. Good to be back.
Application number 16-26, AJN Global, Inc. Permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-602, Residence B District, northwesterly terminus of Frank Court, 590 feet west of Coates Avenue, Holbrook.
It's Michael Arado, Captain Permit, 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B16, Melville, New York, 11747. So we're here today to apply for an accessory apartment. Accessory apartment's approximately 567 square feet of finished space, and then there's going to be 151 square feet of unfinished space, and that's for the utilities. The apartment would be a studio-style apartment with a 3-piece bathroom, kitchen, and a large living area. There's an egress window in the main part of the apartment as well as an outside entrance. Parking was approved on 3/5/2024, and the plans for this basement were approved. Permit number was 217224, and final inspection took place on February 4th, 2025. House was CO'd 7/19/2018, which makes this house over 7 years old now. Last time I was here, it was under 7, so that's why it was denied. First floor has 2,231 square feet. Second floor is 1,575 square feet. Total with the basements, 4,525. We haven't received any phone calls or letters in opposition to the application. We don't feel that if it was approved, it would create a negative impact on the surrounding properties or any of the neighbors. And if approved, we would apply for any additional permits to legalize the apartment with the building department.
Planning, any comments?
No comment.
Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to be heard in this matter? No? All right, I'll take a motion then.
Make a motion that we approve the application for a period of 3 years.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Application number 17-26, Matthew Allen Sanchez and Sarah Esther Kim. Permission to install above-ground pool leaving front yard on a through lot of 15 feet and shed leaving front yard of 10 feet instead of required 25 feet each, and decking leaving front yard of 10 feet instead of required 15 feet. Residence BAA District, west side of Sexton Walk, 261.18 feet south of Fire Island Lighthouse baseline, through lot to Compass Walk, Robbins Rest.
Good evening. My name is Nicholas Pfluger of Boulder Pfluger Architects and also now Graham Associates. We're at 85 East Main Street, Bay Shore, New York, 11706. I'm the architect on the project, here on behalf of the homeowner. The front yard in question is on the west side of the property. Just want to point that out. This will inherently be used as the backyard of the property since it is a through lot. That side on the west side backs up to a paper road as well as the open seashore space. So with respect to the 15-foot setback to the pool, we have a comparable variance approval at 87 Sexton Walk. That's at 15.6 feet, which is also a property backing up to the open seashore space, as well as another comparable approval at 18 Compass Walk for 15.3 feet. Only that is, I should just about to say that that particular property, it is a rear yard and not a through lot for that one. The pool does have a long, narrow shape, as the owners do intend to use it for exercise and doing laps. We also have upgraded the sanitary to a new new IA system. This also contributed to the pool shape and placement so that we maintain the required 20 feet from the pool to the sanitary.
Mr. Pfluger, can
Yes.
I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
I don't think you're going to find many pools in front yards. You would have told us immediately. Look, first. But that's okay, it's a through lot.
Correct.
However, your client is seeking an application, looking for a little help from us, but they want to install a 45-foot long pool. My take is that's gotta be cut down. Can't, you're looking for an application, it's not as of right.
Mhm.
It's not like it's something we've granted.
Sure, understandable.
I know he wants, or she wants to swim laps, which is great, but it's already compromised.
Yeah. How do you swim a lap in an L?
You make that right and come down. So, you may, just my thought process, you may either want to go back to your client and say, you're not getting 45 feet.
Okay.
I don't wanna put you on the spot.
Sure, sure. No, that's an understandable point. You know, and that of course is why the pool is narrow, so square footage wise, it's comparable. But understandable.
Pool builders coming in with Plan A and Plan B.
Right.
You have a lot of
So,
rest in peace.
I just have a question when you get a chance. On the survey, it says along the northwest corner, 10 feet taking. I don't know what that refers to.
Yeah, so that it's basically an easement. The wording is a little odd. We also kind of spotted that, but it's basically an easement.
It's an easement. Who possesses the easement?
I don't know that answer off the top of my head.
I feel like that's something that needs to be submitted with the application. If you're talking about variance for the property,
Yeah, I mean, we're staying out of that area, so we're not proposing anything in there, but understandable. Yes, right, correct. There's a road right there. That's midway, I think. No, so we thought we had the right copy because there was another deed with the same name. So the deed for this property we do not have. We couldn't get it off of the Suffolk website, but we're having the owner get that information for us, or that document for us.
I think a lot of the questions have already been sort of brought up. So, trying to go through them one at a time. I would agree with Mr. Wexler. It's not really clear to me why a 45-foot pool into a non-conforming setback when they have, honestly, a relatively large area. And it's not like they are penalized for it being a through lot. They would need the same setback even if it was a rear yard. So I don't really see what the difficulty is wherein they are requesting this variance. It seems like they have a lot of space to make a conforming pool.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's definitely an understandable point. I know the client would be, willing to accept a greater setback and take 5 feet off of the pool. If that 5 feet, correct? Not even close. Okay.
You got an L in the pool. I've never seen an L in a pool on my horizon. It's like amazing.
He doesn't have the property, it's in the wrong place, so he's asking for a lot. There's nothing entitled to.
Yeah, I mean, the placement of the pool, it's really, given the fact that we have the new sanitary system on there, it's really the only, placement of the pool. But I do understand the point.
I think even in this one, though, they have plenty of space for a pool, even taking into consideration the sanitary. It's just they want one that's 45 feet long.
Yeah,
which is the abnormal thing here.
Sure. And we do have to maintain that 20 foot from the sanitary, so, that was a factor.
You can't make a decision
Yeah, I mean, I would like to, adjourn it and hold the application open, if we could do that.
Just before we do go down that, I also would like, and I'm assuming you don't have the answer, that's what it sounds like here, but regarding the whole thing with it being called the taking, that is confusing to me as well. It's
Yeah.
called as the taking on the survey as well, that's what John Mayer put it out as.
Yes, we saw
And
that.
when I
yeah.
looked for, 5 years ago, he was calling it an easement. So he actually changed the language.
Gotcha, right.
And I'm not sure why he did that. I don't know if there's something that he knows that we don't, but it seemed to be a conscious decision to change the language from a 10-foot easement to a 10-foot taking.
Why don't we do this? Why
Sure.
don't your clients get the title search done? It would not be very expensive. Just the last deed of record, and also to pull the actual, let's figure out what's what here. You know, it's
Okay.
easy to get the last deed of record.
Sure.
You have to, pay actually very small fee.
Sure.
Also, I would give you a number, like a reduction by 50%. I think that's where we have gone in the past. Not that we've ever allowed it in the front yard.
So reduction of the pool itself by 50%.
Not necessarily the pool, the encroachment.
The encroachment.
We can't tell you how they can make the pool. We can tell you where to stay away from.
Gotcha. Okay.
Also, it's in the front yard, so that's it, yeah. So I use that 5 number, not 20 years.
Fair enough. I appreciate that.
I would also just note, we haven't really talked about the shed, but the shed is the one that's, and it's actually even closer. Now, I understand you're trying to avoid the sanitary system here. It is a large shed.
Yes.
It's like right next to where that sand walkway is, what is being called the taking here easement. We're all familiar with the area that we're discussing here.
Yeah, and it's not an area that's heavily traveled. People really go more on
I mean, it's the only
east.
east-west access. I understand it's Fire Island's Robin's Rest. Maybe it's not the most
Yeah, no,
populous
I'm
area,
I'm
but-
talking about the east side where the boardwalk is that goes into the ramp. That's more heavily traveled to get to the beach, but sure.
Hey, who knows, next year, there might be a hurricane. There might be something, the road. Things are fluid over there. How big is the shed? 287 square feet?
Yep.
Is it actually a shed?
It should be 249, because that's the number under which doesn't require coastal area. But if it's 289, then that's fine too. But we're after
We have
this, we see a lot of
287 is what we have, yeah.
It's being calculated into the FAR, yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'd give you a date, but I'd like to know that you can get the deed for the file. So maybe we should just leave it open?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Well, no, that's the wrong property. After all that. So after all that, we analyzed the deed today to determine whether it's a deed or a mortgage release. And then it turns out it was the lot to the north, 39 Compass.
Right, yes.
So.
Yeah, like, kind of at the last minute, we realized that, and yeah, I know you had some communication.
So I'm just going to do a really quick explanation so everybody can understand
Sure.
why the confusion happened. So when Mr. Sanchez and Ms. Kim bought the property, they bought 3 parcels to make this happen. So they bought the 2 that you're seeing outlined in red there, and they also bought the one that's adjacent to the north of the westerly part, right there. That house that you're seeing was on the subject parcel. So they bought that vacant property so that they could relocate the existing house to that parcel to the north and build their house, which came before us in 2020, which you see almost straddling the properties. So the confusion happened because you guys grabbed a deed that used to be part of the file, but it was the former file. It's
Right.
not related to this property anymore.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So the language may very well be the same because both properties are encumbered with something that John Mayer is now referring to as a taking, but it's more likely an easement or a right-of-way.
Right.
But either way, it's important to see, because it is the
To
main
determine
thoroughfare.
what it
It's-
is, and
yeah.
yeah, that's certainly understandable.
Yeah. Survey, yeah.
Surveyor. A little different. What are we doing?
Yeah, so we did all this time analyzing it, only to realize it was to the other lot.
It's the wrong parcel.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got a motion to adjourn. Second. Motion to adjourn, second. Open adjournment, it's been granted.
All that for an adjournment.
He's on the next one too, so I'm just writing that down. Bill and Chris. Open adjournment. Okay. Application number 18-26, Robert and Susan Moran. Permission to erect one-story addition and expand decking, leaving floor area ratio of 37.89% instead of permitted 30%, to install above-ground pool, leaving rear yard of 23.4 feet instead of required 25 feet, and deck, leaving rear yard of 10.5 feet instead of required 15 feet. Residence BAA District, west side of Sloop Walk, 420 feet south of Central Roadway, Summer Club.
Nick Pfluger from Boulder Pfluger Architects and Graham Associates, to 85 East Main Street, Bay Shore, New York, 11706.
And Nick, I'm sorry to interrupt you,
Sure.
but apparently after the public notice went out, Tina realized that for some reason another denial had been written which incorporates a front walkway exceeding the permitted width of 6 feet where it meets the front property line?
Correct, yeah. Basically, we were flaring out the front stairs.
We gotta amend the call, right?
Yes.
Like the edges of it were being flared out.
Okay. So the call needs to be amended to reflect that the applicant is also seeking access to the walkway exceeding 4 feet.
Motion.
Take a second, please. All in favor? All right, so the call's been amended.
Thank you. So, with respect to the requested FAR of 37.89%, we do have several comparable variances that have been approved in the area. We have a 41% at 28 Schooner, 39.43% at 41 Schooner, 41.87% at 26 Schooner, and there's also a few others. With respect to the rear yard setback for the deck, we're requesting 10.5 feet. Again, we have several precedents. We have a 3.5 foot at 12 Sloop, 5 foot at 11 Sloop, 5 foot at 21 Schooner. And then with respect to the pool setback, we're requesting 23.5 feet. We do have a precedent 18.5 feet at 24 Sloop and 21.8 feet at 47 Sloop. So we do feel that the requested variances are in line with the neighborhood, and I can take any questions.
Planning?
This one, thankfully, much more straightforward. I agree with them.
Okay.
It is in line with the area.
It meets the nature and character.
It meets the nature and character of the area.
Is there anyone else that'd like to be heard in this matter? Any questions? Board? No?
No questions.
Let's take a motion then.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to grant the application.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Application's granted.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Application number 685-25, adjourned from November 18, 2025. Anthony Caldara Jr., permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Islip Town Code Section 68-602, having gross floor area of 960 square feet instead of permitted 800 square feet. To leave shed having 3 feet behind the front line of the dwelling instead of required 20 feet. 6-foot fence having front yard of 10 feet instead of required 15 feet. In driveway site distance triangle exceeding permitted height of 3 feet. And 4-foot chain link fence in driveway site distance triangle exceeding permitted height of 3 feet. Residence AA District, west side of Nichols Road, 716.46 feet north of Susing Boulevard, Hopog.
Hi, my name is Anthony Caldara, 500 Nichols Road, Hopog, New York, 11788.
Mr. Caldera, you were on originally for November 18th?
Yeah, I didn't get the letter.
Okay. Planning, any comments on this?
A few comments, yeah. Normally, I would say chain link fence is not really a site obstruction, but I think in this case, the fences probably have to move anyway because they're in the utility easement. So, if they're already being relocated, I would assume they should be relocated to conform. And in fact, actually, if they're out of the utility easement, I'm relatively sure that it wouldn't even qualify as a site obstruction regardless. But 960 square feet for the accessory apartment. It's not what the board would normally grant. That does include a boiler room, which is supposed to be included, but it does include a boiler room and I believe a foyer area. I'm also not entirely sure, based on the plans I saw, I'm not 100% sure those numbers are accurate, but The plans that I saw weren't scaled. I don't know if there were another set of plans that other people had available, but
I measured each room. I'm below it, I believe. I believe I was below the 960.
oh, it's- that's,
The 960, is that with the up and the downstairs, or just the downstairs? Apartment's way below 960. I came out with 760 it was.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and measure, so we can do the right?
I'm a general contractor. I can,
I know, like you're saying, I think it might be.
all right, you got it. You want me to go back and measure it? I'll get,
Yeah, I think it's better for you.
yeah, I'll go, not an issue.
Yeah, you might save yourself some odds.
No problem. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Just so you know, though, if it turns out later than it is. I don't know, can you come back and deny it? Right. We could approve it, because, or deny it, because it's under 800. So if you come back, you know, maybe it was 9.
It could be, I'll be honest, I don't know the exact, yeah, I don't know the exact numbers at this point. You want me to adjourn it, measure it, and come back? I could do that.
What we talked about on the phone.
good.
We talked about the fact that the utility room it must be included as part of the apartment if you can't access it from the outside. If you need to go through your tenant's space to get to the utility room, then it must be included as part of the apartment.
Okay.
So you can't do your own calculations and exclude it if it's afoul of the town code.
Gotcha. I asked that question when I put the application in, and the person who helped me told me I didn't have to put it on there.
Right, but I told you otherwise.
Okay,
So
and
you
hallways
said,
also have to be included.
okay. See?
and you said that because of the design of the house, there was no way you could make that boiler room accessible from the outside.
Correct. It's part of,
So this isn't the first time the board has heard this. The landlord wants to be able to go through the tenant's space to access the boiler room.
Okay.
But the way the code is written, then that space actually has to be attributed to the apartment, which is capped at 800.
correct.
So the highest the board has done on area variances with the size of the apartment is 850 square feet.
Okay. All right, so I'll remeasure it and bring it back and just adjourn it then. Okay. Just have one question on the fence. The fence, you want me to take the fence down, am I correct?
you don't necessarily, well, it should be relocated, yes.
I know, and I knew it was in that, it was in the.
Yeah, it can't be in
easement.
the easement.
Yeah, I'll just take it down.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Do I get a date of when to come back?
Probably should have a date, right? Because there's some action going on, so, how about March 3rd?
March 3rd? Okay, thank you.
Is that okay, everyone?
Okay, thank you.
Has anybody arrived on the applications at 6 o'clock that were a no-show? It was Daniel Jose Baquet and Luis Morocho? No. Okay, moving on to 7 o'clock. Application number 19-26. Francisco Esiza, permission to erect roofed-over deck 18 by 26.55, leaving rear yard of 15.26 feet instead of required 25 feet, and floor area ratio of 42% instead of permitted 25%. Roofed-over entry platform, 6 by 8, leaving front yard of 21.1 feet instead of required 25 feet. To leave shed having side yard of 1.2 feet and rear yard of 1.9 feet instead of required 4 feet each. To relocate fencing to front property lines, leaving 4-foot fence in driveway site distance triangle and 6-foot fence and 4-foot fences in corner site distance triangles exceeding permitted height of 3 feet each. Residence B District, northwest corner of Jefferson Avenue and Van Cedar Street, Brentwood.
Good evening. My name is Damari Moreno. I'm with Above and Beyond Expediting, 70 East Main Street, Patchogue, New York, 11772. And this is the homeowner, Francisco Acesa.
Okay, would like to present?
Yes, so we are here for the roof over deck and the front portico The roof over deck will be 18 by 26.55, and the portico will be 5 feet and 3 high with a 25 front yard setback.
That's not McCall.
Yes.
Just a few things to note. Obviously, the number that stands out is 42% FAR. That's not in nature and character of the area. Understandable that it's a roof over porch area, but attached to the house, and certainly at that size, it does count for gross floor area, and this is well exceeding anything in the area that has been granted by the board and is not within what would normally be considerable by the board. As far as the fences go, as far as I can tell, they are all open chain link style, so it's maybe not quite as bad as it sounds there. That's something that I believe we've made some inroads on in terms of whether or not there is actually visibility through it. And I would say I don't really think this looks like a site obstruction.
He actually put it to 3 feet instead of 6 inches, so.
I mean, that would also just work, but.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, what was the other thing here? Oh, the roof over entry platform, I'm not even 100% sure what it is that, because I see this, I'm assuming it's these stairs here, and maybe it's being called out as a roof over because there's like a little bit of an overhang here. It seems like a very not big deal. Assuming this is what it looks like, I think that's absolutely fine. I don't even know why it's getting called out. The FAR is, yeah, the FAR is a bad number, obviously. No, sure.
Yeah, where the windows are, that's where he's gonna put the doors, and because he doesn't have a backyard, that's the reason why he wants to put it there on the side. Which there's many houses around the area that have a similar deck with the roof over. I understand. If you guys could grant it. ¿Lo quiere poner un poco más pequeño sin el roof over? Por lo menos no lo van a dejar. ¿Qué le quiere decir? To reduce it?
I'd like you to take in consideration. My name is Francisco Javier Ezeiza, owner of 54 Jefferson Avenue, Brentwood, New York. I have only one thing to request from the panel. Please take in consideration, I'm about to retire. I went to pandemia and cancer at the same time. And I felt like on jail in my home because it was not some room. That's what I come up with, the idea to have the deck with the roof that way. On my retire, I can go outside, see the light, see the rain, and see the snow. Because right now, I couldn't do before because right now I'm paying the school for master degree for my son and the architect university farming. Or what I request to take in consideration with no other base. Thank you.
Is this still being? Okay. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Creo que eso es todo.
Application number 20-26, ISP Central Distra LLC. Permission to erect a two-story industrial building having a height of 42.5 feet, leaving a side yard of 30.6 feet instead of required 42.5 feet, and floor area ratio of 42% instead of permitted 35%. To erect retaining wall 4.35 feet in height on side property line, not having required setback of 4.35 feet. To erect fencing atop walls resulting in overall heights of 8.2 and 11.8 feet instead of permitted 6 feet each, and to erect fence atop wall resulting in an overall height of 10.5 feet instead of permitted 6 feet, and having front yard of 11.5 feet instead of required 15 feet. Industrial 1 District, south side of Central Avenue, 510.82 feet west of Pacific Street, Hauppauge.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'll start off by wishing you a happy and healthy new year. My name is Michael L. Williams, P.E., representing R&W Engineers, PC 380 Town Line Road, Suite 150, Hauppauge, New York, 11788. I'm here this evening speaking on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Gary Krupnik, Islip Central DISTR, LLC.
Say Gary Crowder.
Yes. I'm sorry. So the subject property, it's a vacant parcel located at the westernmost end of Central Avenue in Hauppauge. As part of a minor subdivision that has been approved by Suffolk County Department of Health Services and is pending approval by the Planning Board, subject to the grant of the relaxations before the ZBA this evening. The property is surrounded by industrial and commercial buildings, many of which are multiple stories and/or high cube buildings. The required side yard setback, based on the building height, is 42.5 feet. The proposed east side yard setback is 30.6 feet. However, the adjacent property is granted an access easement for a driveway between the properties, resulting in a side yard of 54.6 feet to the easement line, which is in perpetuity. The proposed building is 39,009 gross floor area, but only 36,559 of first floor and footprint. The balanced square footage is a mezzanine. The allowable floor area ratio is 35% in IND1 zoning. The request for gross floor area relaxation to 40.8%, not 42% as published, is based on an approximate 5,000 square foot dedication of property required for the cul-de-sac that was constructed. Based on Google Earth historical imagery, the cul-de-sac at the west end of Central Avenue was constructed between 2004 and 2006. The cul-de-sac was constructed onto the subject property without the owner's consent, and this was never an issue until now. Also pertaining to the cul-de-sac, the front yard setback without the dedication is 66 feet, meeting the minimum 50-foot required. The dedication results in a reduced front yard setback of 14.4 feet. As I understand in speaking to staff before I came here this evening, this would be looked at pre-dedication of the area of the property for the cul-de-sac. That's correct. It's 40.8 if you do, you run the math.
The number that should be represented here is 38.9 pre-dedication.
Right, because it's pre-dedication.
38.9% is the FAR they should be requesting. 42% is an error, and 38.9 is what they requested FAR is prior to dedicating the cul-de-sac area to the town, which is, as policy, what we would consider before the dedication, not afterwards.
I'm gonna make a motion to modify the call to read floor area ratio of 38.9% instead of 35%.
That was only a 3.9%.
I get a second, can I get all in favor? Aye. So it's gonna modify.
So it's only a 3.9% variance.
Correct. For the, in terms of the FAR, correct, yes.
Yes, it is, sir, yes.
38.9.
So regarding the variances required for the retaining wall and fencing, the property directly to the west was developed between 2015 and 2016. Prior to the development, the grade differential between the properties, between that property and the subject property before you, was between 0 to 6 feet based on Google Earth imagery. The most recent topographic survey depicts a maximum grade differential of approximately 10 to 12 to 13 feet, excuse me. I have a copy of the survey with me showing the steep grade between the properties. If you'd like, I could pass it up. The adjacent property was built up, and the slope created onto the subject property was done to allow drainage structures to be installed on the adjacent property. It's our opinion that a retaining wall should have been required on the adjacent property when it was developed. Well, it's a total, that is the total height that results once you put the fence on top of the wall. For safety. For safety. For anybody who might wander over the top of the wall. Correct. Well, they don't want them falling off the wall. It's a code requirement from the town of Islip. Yeah.
I think part of the reason there might be some confusion on that, and I think he probably did speak to it, but this is a old like sand gravel area. The area with which they're doing here is significantly recessed compared to the rest of the area. It's what, like 10 feet below grade as compared to the surroundings?
That's correct.
So they need the retaining walls for the grading. It's a very difficult site to work in that sense. The fences on top are because pretty much around a lot of the perimeter of this site would be a steep grade change with the wall. Somebody walking over and through it could fall off, get injured. So these numbers seem very bizarre, and I actually will say that they are. This is not a very normal situation, but considering the site conditions, in speaking with engineering, as far as the retaining walls and the fence go, it is a matter of safety and making the site functional. Yeah, the fences and the walls and all that, speaking with engineering, it does seem like it would be necessary to develop the site.
That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Mascunas. Permission to erect one-story dwelling on lot having width of 40 feet instead of required 75 feet, lot area of 5,056 square feet instead of required 7,500 square feet, leaving side yards of 7.7 feet and 7.8 feet instead of required 14 feet each, and total side yards of 15.5 feet instead of required 28 feet. Residence B District, south side of South Road, 280 feet west of Carlton Avenue, Central Islip.
Hello, Happy New Year. Sarah Mascunas, PE, and Daniel Keebler. Here to discuss the erecting a one-story dwelling on the substandard lot.
So this looks very bad on paper, and I can't really say that it isn't otherwise, but an important thing to note here is that there used to be a house on this lot. It was fire damaged, it was demolished. So what they are currently proposing, while definitely does have some issues with conformance, especially on the side yards, not surprising with a 40-foot wide lot, is actually an improvement over what has historically been there and is more conforming than either one of their adjacent neighbors. I really think that's the bottom line on that. It is a very substandard parcel, but again, I think based on the fact that it has historically had a house for many decades prior to this, it can be justifiable on that grounds.
Then let me ask you a question. The house that exists was built when?
It's hard to get an exact date on that.
Predate zoning?
I believe so. It didn't have much history to it in terms of record keeping. I can say that.
But it's ancient.
It was very old, yes.
Isn't the whole idea of zoning is to slowly do away with the totally non-conforming?
Non-conforming uses, yes. Non-conforming parcels is a little trickier. I would say this, they have both of their neighbors on a very similar sized lot here, as you can see. What they're proposing, as I was saying, is more conforming than either one of the neighbors. It's more conforming than what used to be there. As far as what they're asking for, oh, quite old, I would have to assume, yeah. They're not asking for anything that is not with regards to just really the side yards here. And again, it is not ideal, 7.7, 7.8. I think it's a 22 or 24-foot wide house. It's really a function of the 40-foot lot width. It leaves a 12-foot building envelope in the middle. It's not reasonable to ever have a house fit into that.
24 by 50. 20. I've got it.
A few years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
That's a good question. I don't think so.
We are.
We are.
Yes.
We're the owners and engineers for this.
We purchased it from a realtor. We were.
No.
No, a real transaction after the fire.
Several years after the fire, about a decade after.
No, to buy it. I mean, we used our realtor, yes. We are, yes. We're trying to, this would be our first home. We're trying to just get into a home, and that's it. We found it might be easier to buy the lot and build our own home.
But you take a huge gamble when you buy something that you don't have an as of right to build.
Right, yes, that's correct.
We understand. That's a risk that we've assumed at this point in time.
I guess that's the current state of the housing market.
It is. Our understanding that, as was stated already, historically, a house was there. It's in a school district, walking distance from middle school, and it was raised because it was a nuisance to the surrounding area. We're just looking to come in, build a single-family home that comports the surrounding area.
I understand your plight. I just think it girds against what good zoning dictates, is that we slowly do away with these non-conforming uses. That's what zoning is, and this was built pre-zoning, so you could build wherever, basically whatever.
I'm unsure if this matters, but it did have a certificate of compliance and much more recent history up until the fire.
When was the fire?
I believe it was 2007. There were actually two fires. It was the second,
The first one didn't get it all?
the first one didn't get it, and then it became such a nuisance, it had to be raised again because of the danger to the school.
Here's the fire report. Can you pass that to Chris?
Single and separate. So what are we doing?
It's not necessarily.
Does anyone else like to be heard in this matter?
Which lot?
We might hear from them. Oh, I don't know, maybe not.
No? All right.
Maybe, well, I think they're thinking about it.
Would you like to be heard on this?
What, did it ever turn out if it was arson or not?
Hold on, I'm sorry, 1 second.
I'm unaware.
If you'd like to be heard, please come forward.
The answer to that is no.
I can't hear you until you.
No, they want to know if somebody speaks Spanish who can interpret.
Do they have
Oh,
an
is that what they
interpreter?
asked? I couldn't hear her, I really couldn't hear her.
Well, I can.
Okay, and?
I'm younger.
Okay.
They want to know if they have somebody who can interpret Spanish. And
We don't.
I can speak Spanish, but I can't interpret it well.
Can you speak on behalf of this person?
Same as him, I can't speak as well. I know it, but I can't
Can you
translate it.
tell us what she says, listen to what she says, and put it into English?
Can you give us her name and
Yeah.
address?
So it's Guadalupe Martinez, I'm Jessica Martinez.
Nombre es.
All right, Guadalupe Martinez, Jessica Martinez, now Alvarenga, 8 South Road, Central Islip, New York,
And what's your
11722. Mother, she's my mother, and I'm her daughter.
And where are you in proximity to the house?
We're right next door.
Okay.
She just wants to know, because
Directly
we
to the
received
east.
a letter, so she
Yep.
just wants to know, like, how far away it's gonna be from the fence, it's so small, she just doesn't want it to
It's going to
obviously
be like
be
the
on top
last
of her.
house.
Huh?
It's going to be similar to the last house.
Well, there was no house there when we bought it, so
Okay.
that's why she's asking.
And when did you buy?
¿Cuándo fue que lo compró? En el 2018, ¿verdad? 2018.
So at that time, the fire had already happened in 17?
Yeah, yeah.
Was the house still standing and needed to be demolished?
¿Todavía estaba la casa ahí? No,
It was gone.
it was gone, yeah. So that's why she just wants to know where, where it's gonna be from the fence. That's it. She just has nothing against it.
They're asking for side yards of 7.7 and 7.8.
Say it again, one more time?
They're asking for side yards of 7.7 on one side and 7.8 on the other.
Entonces fuera 7.7 de la fence. From the fence, right? Like from the fence?
From the property
Yeah.
line, but that's probably
Yeah.
close to where the fence is.
De la fence fuera 7.7 del lado de nosotros. Pies. Ajá.
¿Pero los afectan nosotros?
No, no los afecta, o sea, usted solamente quería saber eso, ¿verdad? Sí. Okay. That was all she wanted to know. That was it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
No, I mean, it is a very difficult lot. I do have some degree of sympathy for it, considering that it has historically been developed. And I think that's really the only reason it could be justified. Otherwise, I don't think it could be.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No.
I'll take a motion to reserve this.
Motion.
Reserve decision.
Okay. Thank you.
So all we have is some renewals? Hey, we're still on. We're still on. And my mic's on.
Still on the record.
Okay, we just have to renew 15 accessory apartments and 13 two-family family use onlys for a period of 3 years.
Taking a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Oh, you can't build on it?
Okay. Okay, that's a wrap.